Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Thursday, August 18th, 2022. Yes, the weekend is on its way. Yes, week 2 NFL X MLB rounding into form. Wow. We talk about momentum. In my lanes, I try to stay out of the mental game. As everyone knows here, it's not about the logos in front, the names in back. Uh, we're numbers guys. We're team numbers. We are your sports broker. When you start to think or try to think what the other team is expected to do, well, you usually don't do very well in the long term. And I'm just going to say this what happened in the Bronx yesterday could be, you need to highlight that, bookmark that one, because that could be the spark that the Yankees needed. 4-4 extra innings. Tampa puts up a 3-spot, 7-4 game over. Yanks load the bases, one out, and Donaldson takes a fastball to right field, bat flip immediately, 8-7 walk-off, and in come the Jays. And maybe that's the spark that these Yankees needed, and that offense now is going to propel. And how fitting Mr. Berrios is pitching today. We all know Mr. Berrios. We all know the Jekyll and Hyde. And in comes Frankie Montas, who is throwing up beach balls as well. So a lot to talk about today. I want to bring in our co-host because I got a funny quick story before we start breaking down this menu. So let's go to the Windy City. Our co-host, the one, the only, Mr. Riley Magnuson. Good morning, sir.
Morning, my friend. Happy Thursday. Ready to get rocking and rolling, my friend. I don't know if I cut myself out there, but happy Thursday. Ready to rock and roll. Yeah, we got the decent little slate coming up. Not too long. We got the Colorado Rockies and Cardinals kicking off about noon my time, 1 o'clock your time. So, decent little afternoon slate of baseball here today after a nice little afternoon slate yesterday. So, White Sox couldn't get it done for me last night, but you obviously mentioned the big game that everyone's talking about, the Yankees taking down the Braves. So, I'm ready for whatever story you got coming our way, though. Go ahead and take it away, my friend.
So the night before we go 4-0, okay, and much needed, of course. Whenever you can go 4-0, Jesus, and we usually don't release 4 games for the ECSI VIPs. Right. So yesterday we break down the card. I had some afternoon plays. I had Minnesota run line on the desk. I had Kirby and Seattle run line on the desk. I took a swing at a night game. Now, this doesn't happen very often, but it's comical. We had the Guardians run line trailing the whole game. They cut it to 4-2. It's bottom of the 8th, 2 outs. Okay?
Cue the circus music.
Well, here's the funny. I didn't get the full story. So I'm following it now on my phone. I've shut it down. I have DirecTV. I have all the games. I didn't even want to watch it. I was writing it off, right? So there's 2 outs. The next thing I know, I see first and second 2 outs. I'm like, okay. Then it's 4-3, first and third. And how the brain works is this. Okay, here we go. 5-4 final. Thanks for playing. The real kick in the you-know-what. I get a phone call from Vegas. Our mayor, of course, Mr. Sharapan, checking in. I see 8-4 Cleveland. I'm like, are you kidding me? So immediately I think they get tied at 4-4 and they get the grand slam. Then it was double-double. I didn't read that the first 2 guys struck out and the third guy in the inning struck out. dropped ball, he gets the first team in a bazillion years to have 3 straight strikeouts and to score 6 runs in an inning.
I know. It is absolutely. I didn't watch it live. I watched it afterwards. It was happening while the White Sox were trying to put together a rally of their own, and they were mentioning it on the broadcast. But I had no idea what the scenes were actually like. And then watching it back afterwards, it was just the stuff you groan over if you're the opposing team, or in my case, a division rival that's trying to chase down that team, and they're getting all these breaks while we're fighting and scratching tooth and nail each of the last handful of days, just trying to win some games. So it was wild, but yeah, frustrating for White Sox fans and obviously Tigers fans who've been frustrated all season long. But that probably put them out of their misery, huh?
Yeah, and for the ECSI VIPs, 5 in a row. We go to 5-2 on the week. Nice little week going. A short slate, again, another travel day, Wednesday and Thursday travel days. A decent board. Before we dive into it, we're hearing all these talks about the young wide receivers in Green Bay. I mean, every day you're hearing how Mr. Romeo, Mr. Dubs is just lighting it up. In comes Mr. Watson. He's back. And it seemed like Packerland was beautiful. This was, hey, we don't need Devontae. Now listen, you're talking to someone that had to sit and suffer through 2 decades of Tom has no weapons, but Tom's so good, he makes his weapons so good. All of a sudden, I hear Lord Diva, Mr. Rogers himself, pissing and moaning, yelling and screaming. The circle of trust, these guys can't catch. Let's have a closed-door meeting. Let's talk this thing out. What the hell's going on, Riley?
If I'm being honest with you, I think all of this noise over the last 24 hours, like, yeah, he did call him out a little bit, but I think it's been overblown. And obviously, if you want to have whatever you want to have your opinion about Rodgers, I think it was overblown just a little bit, honestly. To me, it seemed like the type of stuff your parents say when they praise you a little bit, you're doing well, and then the second you seem like you're getting complacent, they try to light a fire and you're under your ass a different way. That's kind of how I saw it. And apparently, from what I heard, the response was positive afterwards. So, it's kind of, I think it's both things. I think it is trying to check them a little bit and not get themselves, too high on themselves a month into training camp. And, a 13-win team and Hall of Fame quarterback is talking you up. You gotta be checked a little bit. So I kind of think that's what it is, but there's also some truth to it, obviously, as far as either the lack of experience, as far as when a play breaks down, which obviously we know Rodgers is fantastic with when a play breaks down, and that's been a lot of the issues usually with young receivers is, that he's not used to these guys, not like Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, where these guys know how when the play breaks down. Jordy Nelson a handful of years ago, obviously. So, there's something to make of it, but I think it was overblown a little bit. He did mention that they need to have the best 11 on the field, and that probably means A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones on the field a lot of the time, which I'm not sure what that's going to look like, how often that's going to be, but it's going to be interesting. They just brought in Travis Fulgham off of free agency, so interested to see if that's worth anything or if that's just trying to light a fire under these guys again as well. But they're probably going to hold 7 receivers on the roster, I do think, the way it's looking. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, I've got a lot of hope for what Romeo Doubs has done, and in the joint practices, it sounds with the Saints. If you didn't realize, the Packers were doing joint practice with the Saints. He looked like he was performing pretty well against the Saints defensive backs. So still optimism, but I think it's going to be a few weeks into the season before we see Doubs or Watson really contributing at a higher level. We'll probably see him sprinkled in here and there the first few weeks, but I think it's going to be after a few weeks until we finally start to see them kind of unchained, and maybe even later into the season to be fully unchained, if you know what I'm trying to say. So I do think it's a little overblown, but there is something to make of it for sure.
I watched for 2 decades, every time a pass was thrown at someone's feet, every time a pass was dropped, every time a pass was overthrown, the media here always flipped it. The wide receiver ran the wrong route. It was never Tom's fault. It was always the wide receiver. I always bring this up. We brought Brandon Cooks in for 1 year, and he was amazing. Mm-hmm. Tom, on the fly, on the go to the mailbox, would always underthrow him. When he did the 12-yard outs, he'd always throw it at its feet. And it was always spun. It was Brandon's fault. He doesn't get the system. He's not running the right routes. Therefore, thanks for playing. And he was gone after a year. I always talk about that circle of trust. You have seen Rodgers. I have seen Rodgers. I have seen that smirk. I have seen that look like, what the hell you do? It's never Rodgers' fault. Right. Now, 3rd and 8, the whole world knows it's going to Davante Adams, and it doesn't matter. He's throwing the ball to Adams. It was either a first down or they throw a flag and they get the first down because of some kind of interference. You don't have that this year. You have Lazard and Cobb, okay? The circle of trust. You're trying to develop these young kids. When when Rodgers signed that contract for all that money, he knew Davante wasn't coming back.
Right.
He knew that. What's your expectations moving into this season? I mean, are you ready for a year of smug or of flipping the hair back? What the hell you got? I'm one of the greatest ever. What do you got assembled in front of me? I will tell you this. I had my second draft last night. I got some A.J. Dillon. I have 100 catches projected between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And everyone's wondering where the catches are coming from. They're going to come from the running backs, guys.
Yeah. And someone asked, I saw that in the media a little bit, and I don't know the exact phrasing of it, but someone kind of asked LaFleur, I think it was LaFleur, if not one of the offensive coaches, I could be wrong here. But they basically kind of pumped the brakes and said, well, I'm not going to put a limit on it. It could be more than 100 catches between the two of them. So I'm 100% with you. I think as far as the 3rd and 8 situation, the 3rd and long, that I think is going to be where the growing pains are going to be. I think what the plan is going to be is to just do whatever they can. Obviously, every team is trying to avoid 3rd and long. But, with the running back situations we have, with if Tanyan is healthy, I think they're really going to put a lot of emphasis on 1st and 2nd down and getting themselves away from those 3rd and long situations, and so and putting yourselves in those 3rd and 3. So when it is that long, I think we are going to see those types of growing pains, and it's going to be a little bit of an issue. And you're going to need, if it's going to be success, then it's going to be one of those guys have to step up on a consistent basis. But, from what we've seen, there really hasn't been much consistency to that type of level from those guys. So it's going to be a lot of 1st and 2nd down, emphasis on the efficiency of those 2 downs to make sure that there isn't those 3rd and long situations. Because, when it is 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 10 or if there's a penalty, a sack, whatever it is, 3rd and 15 and longer than that, then there probably is going to be some growing pains. We've seen for a couple of years throughout, in the probably 2015-16 range when, the before Davante Adams really broke out, kind of at the end of Jordy Nelson's, success range, I guess you would say. They had an issue with receivers, and there was that type of growing pains. But and in this case, I like our defense more than I've ever liked our defense since we probably won the Super Bowl. So going to have to lean on that a little bit as far as, not giving up 30 points a game. Because if we're getting in shootouts, I don't know that we're going to be the team that we were a couple years ago and putting up 30 points a game. So I've still got a lot of optimism. But, there's going to be some growing pains, and you're probably going to see a lot of those frustrations from the big man's face. So hoping it's and I think earlier on in the season especially. But hopefully as we get along with the season, we find some chemistry and, kind of put this offense pretty seamlessly. Because even some other guys, A.J. Dillon was kind of critical as far as these young receivers as well the other day I saw.
You talked about the defense, the glory days, the Woodson days, the Leroy Butler days. Who is that this year?
You know what? It's I think one hope as far as the ceiling of this defense, you would hope that obviously health is a big concern because as opposed to last year, last year you pulled off a couple guys off the street in the week 5, 6, Rasul Douglas, and it worked out really well when a couple guys went down. I don't expect that you would have that luxury again to find someone that to put in someone that seamlessly off the street in the middle of the season. I don't expect that to happen again. So health is going to be a big critical thing. But Jair Alexander, man, just got paid. And is kind of been waiting in the he's gotten the respect of a top 10 cornerback, but I think everyone's waiting for him to really break out and supplant himself as a top 3 cornerback in this league. On top of that, on the other flip side of the ball, you got Eric Stokes coming into year 2. Loved a lot of what he did last year. First round pick out of Georgia the year before. So I'm really high on both those guys as a tandem, and then you have Rasul Douglas. as the third party in that mix there. And then Adrian Amos was really the unsung hero. But as far as the ceiling as going as far as it would be a breakout year from Jair Alexander, and then Rashawn Gary, who I've talked about coming into year, I think this would be year 4 now, got double-digit sacks last year, looked awesome in the playoff game last year. I have a ton of hope that if he stays healthy, and then obviously, Preston Smith staying healthy is important, and the rest of the front seven staying healthy. Otherwise, he's going to get just the double teamed every single time if we've got some health issues and depth issues around him. But and Kenny Clark is there at the front. As long as he stays healthy, he's kind of he's the glue guy essentially, Kenny Clark. So if he's gone, then we've definitely got some problems. But if the sum is it's too early for me to run whatever the hell the saying is. You know what I'm trying to say. The sum is greater than the individual parts, whatever the hell the saying goes. So, pretty optimistic about the defense as long as it stays healthy this year. And then you've got some linebackers that don't have much depth. So if they stay healthy, then we'll be looking good there. But I'm pretty optimistic about this defense, health permitted, I would say.
9 days away from week 0. We'll get into week 0 in the college a lot more next week. One NFL game tonight on the docket, which is kind of surprising to me because usually you get more on Thursday. I want to just throw this out before we dig into baseball. You talked about the joint practices. I love the joint practices because I feel the teams get more out of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday working on stuff with both teams, and the game is just the game. They could give a rat's ass about that actual game. They got more out of it the first 3 days. With that said, the Panthers have been in town all week in Foxborough. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6 brawls with the Panthers and the Patriots. Now, what I am hearing is the Panthers came in on Monday with a chip on their shoulder. Okay. Before these practices started, they got out into a huddle, got themselves all jacked up like they were sniffing coke in the back room or something. And my take on this, chippiness is good. You finally get to go against some competition. In the middle of the heat, the hot summer, I get it. Not 6 times. I'm going to say this. I'm not a chalk guy. Maybe you can pull it up right here because I think he was the favorite. Matt Rule has already lost the locker room. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he was the favorite for the first coach to be fired. Am I correct or incorrect?
Unless the odds have changed. I think that was last week we were talking about it. So unless it's changed over a week, he was the favorite. It was 3-1, I think. He was the easy favorite there. And you think he lost the locker room already to this point?
You don't have 6 brawls in 2 days.
I'm with you. I think part of it is he's just one of those college coaches that tries to talk to these guys like they're college players, and they're just not. That's kind of what my opinion of it is, because I was kind of high on him, or maybe tentatively high on him coming into last year, because every stop that he's made through his coaching career, obviously this is the first time in the NFL, he's improved his team record year over year every stop that he's gone. So I was anticipating some of that last year, but now what we saw last year and then into this year and some of the decisions he's made, that is where I'm at, as far as I think he's just one of those college coaches that thinks he can push these guys around as if they're 19, 20-year-old kids, and they're just not, and they're just not going to respond to that. And so maybe they come out with some of that chippiness for now, and maybe that bleeds into week 1 and 2 of the season. I think they won the first 2 weeks last year, and after that, though, I think it's going to be downhill after that, and I think we're going to see the same thing. And whether or not he's first coach fired, I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet pretty good money that he's going to be fired at some point this season.
Well, anyone watching and listening that wants to sprinkle shop around, if you can get 3-4-1, it's worth some pizza and beer here, because, like I said, you don't do this.
Is that a record? 6 times? Six times? That's got to be a record.
And I think one of the last ones, one of the guys for the Panthers absolutely laid someone out and was like standing on top of them and celebrating. And then the Patriots said, enough's enough here. And I'm not calling the Patriots saints here by any means, but it has not been pretty the last couple of days in Foxborough.
No. And I mean, just to go down that road as far as first coach fired, like week 1 and 2, it might be okay. They get the Browns in week 1, potentially without Watson, but that even the Browns team might be enough to beat the Panthers there. And then they get the Giants in week 2. And then after that, it's Saints, Cardinals, Niners, Rams, and Bucks. So about a 5-week stretch where they're probably not winning a single one of those games. So either 2-5 or worse after 7 weeks, and then and if he hasn't gone by then, they get the Falcons 2 out of 3 weeks, and obviously I'm not very high on the Falcons, so if they botch any of those games, they're gonna be in trouble, or he's gonna be in trouble, I should say, over there.
MLB today, just quick eye test, a hell of a matchup in Atlanta. DeGrom versus Fried. Yesterday, Mets prevail. I flipped that one on late. Mets big lead. Braves rally the troops, but in the ninth, they gave up, I think, 3 runs to get a 4-run lead. Braves cut it to 1, and actually, no, Acuna was up with a chance to tie or win the game, actually, and he hit it to the wall, and it was caught. A real stenchy number with DeGrom, a minus 120. We talked this last game out. They were baiting you to get there. I mean, Max pitched last night, and he pitched okay, but, I mean, it wasn't Max of Max. You got right now a 4-game deficit, actually in the win-loss column, 4.5. Mets 76 wins, Braves 72. An absolute must-win here for the Braves. Actually, the price for all the Met fans, you're like, you're going to give me DeGrom minus 120. Thank you. I'll be shopping there. That's what they're saying. I talked about Toronto and the Yankees, 4-game set. Does that light a fire under the ass of the Yankees, which is huge? In come the Jays, who did win yesterday, limping in, though. There, my Red Sox have kind of caught lightning in a bottle. Nice spot against the Pirates. I have not been on either one. They've covered the run line in both there. Gallen versus Webb. The Dodgers and Brewers, again, Haney versus Burns. Overnight line, Haney was the favorite. Now the money's coming in on Burns. Cardinals look to sweep Colorado away. So a nice, interesting board. Your guys, Jeets versus Garcia. Vegas got Houston minus 125. They're saying they're putting their stake back in the Astros again today. So be interesting to see what you see, my friend.
All righty, my friend. Let's kick it off there in St. Louis. Then the first game up here in a couple of hours. You got Senzatella and Adam Wainwright for the Cardinals there. Wainwright, if you didn't see, 9 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned versus Milwaukee last time out. Senzatella right now, nothing special. He's been, I guess, fairly consistently kind of mediocre, I guess you would say. I think 2 to 3 runs in each of his last 6 starts. And the Rockies have won 3 of his last 4 starts, though. We are sitting at minus 240 or so here for the Cardinals. Any way to get into this one? Rockies on the road versus a right-hander. I haven't seen the numbers lately, but it is abysmal offensive production against right-handers on the road. Any way to get into this one if you're interested in the Cardinals, or do you see any value on the Rockies whatsoever here?
Full game. Run line opened up minus 1.5, minus 105. It is now to 110. Let me see what they're doing here for the first half. Minus the hook, minus 145. Too steep there, obviously. We'll go back to here. Let's see some team totals. St. Louis 4.5, juice under, minus 125. Colorado 2.5 over 145. You would expect some regression from Wainwright, an under over a 7.5, which to me seems low. Again, these getaway games on Thursday, I've seen a lot of low scoring games. If you've been back in the Cardinals the first 2 games, no problem going to the window, playing it back with the run line full game. I expect the Cardinals to find a way to get the win, but obviously you're priced out of the money line.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have enough faith in Wainwright consistently enough to back the Cardinals, especially another one, first one up. I'll save it and maybe find something else down the road here. Next one up at 1:05 my time, 2:05 your time. A's and Texas Rangers. These 2 teams we've mentioned seem to be playing about 10 times a month. I don't know what it is. But you've got Zach Logue and Dane Dunning here for Texas. Logue has not been very good at all. He's got a 5.49 ERA, 3-6 record. Dane Dunning has been not terrible by any means, but certainly not winning any awards over there for Texas. Oakland's got 2 out of 3 in this series. This is game number 4. Texas close to, if not minus 200, they are close to minus 200 today. Another one where if you're betting on the Rangers, you're getting plus money on this one. Any way to get into this one, or are you you got the first two? I know. Are you just taking your money and running from this series easy?
Computer model minus 150, overnight number minus 185. It's as high as 195 at William Hill. A run line here of you can get plus 110 right now on the Rangers and Dunning full game minus 1.5. That's the only way I could suggest that game today.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I think Texas offense should be fine in that one, but yeah, I'm going to stay away from that. These two teams have not been my recipe for success in these games by any means. So, LA Dodgers and Milwaukee Brewers, the next one up. The Brewers are looking to split this 4-game series here. Dodgers have gotten 2 out of 3 so far. Heaney versus Burns, you mentioned it. Burns, 1 earned run allowed in each of his last 2 starts. Heaney regressed a little bit after what he's done this season. 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs last time out. Do you see more potential regression for Heaney? Is this a Brewers line, or would you like to see with Burns on the mound more respect to Burns? You had Woodruff the other day having the Dodgers as easy underdogs there. Any way to look at this one, and is this one screaming to you in any way?
Well, I look at the Brewers with 62 wins. I look at St. Louis, and I see 65 wins. That's a 4-game difference right now. I mean, Milwaukee's leaking oil. And it sucks when the Dodgers come into town. I don't want to say obviously a must win, but it's time for some sense of urgency in Milwaukee. Looking at first 5 money line, you can get Burns overnight was minus 110. He's now minus 125. If you wanted to get creative and you wanted to sneak in, look for some plus money, you can take Burns minus the hook and get plus 120. So I would lean that way. I would try to get in first 5. Haney's been pitching good, so I mean he's come back, and the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and under over a 7.5 juiced under. I'd look and try to get lightning in a bottle with Burns first 5.
Yeah, I think so too. And Heaney can be hit, but they know when to hook him and not get through that second or third time through the lineup, kind of like some of these other pitchers. So if you're Heaney, I expect to regress, but last time out it was only 3 innings, and they saw him regress a little bit and got him the yank out of there. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Burns should be good tonight, though. Going back to my neck of the woods, day game here, game number 4. White Sox trying to take 3 out of 4. Astros trying to get the split here. Garcia versus Giolito. Giolito obviously not having that great of a season. He's been better than he was earlier in the season. He was, giving up 6, 7, 8 runs at times, double-digit hits. So he has been better than that, but he has still been hittable by no means am I trying to say he's Cy Giolito or anything like that. Garcia, 3 to 4 earned runs allowed in each of his last 4 times out. For the White Sox bullpen, Hendricks was off yesterday, had 3 and 4 days before that, but I think he should be good to go today. So the bullpen should be well rested for the Sox today. Anything you're seeing out of this one? The Astros looking at minus 130 or so. I am seeing 135. Anything you're seeing out of this one?
I mean, great value on your White Sox, I have to say. But again, which Giolito is going to show up? The one that is walking the park, the one that's getting guys on base. Again, Astros, Vegas has made a statement. They lean Astros here. You lost last night. What was it, 3-2?
Yeah, 3-2.
You're getting some plus money on Giolito first 5, plus 110 to the money line. If you want to get creative, you can grab White Sox plus a half run, minus 130. And your team totals for today are actually, let me go full game here. White Sox 3.5 over, minus 125. Houston 4.5 under, minus 125, and under over of 8.5. I think the White Sox might score some runs today. How's that sound?
I think so too. Yesterday's case, I mean, was it Valdez yesterday? Lefty, you would think, obviously the White Sox are better against lefties. He's a ground ball machine, Valdez is, and the White Sox are a ground ball machine offense. So it's not as good of a matchup yesterday as you would expect. And Garcia one of the guys that I would like to see if I'm the White Sox here today. And with Giolito, he's one of those guys where you typically know early whether he's got it or not. That's what I would say as far as his case is there. So I'm feeling confident about it today. Obviously, we were throwing the parade after the first 2 days, so I hope I don't have egg on my face and we get a split here before we go to Cleveland. But nonetheless, I've got some optimism today. Going to not on the other side of the town, but the team on the other side of the town is in Baltimore today. You've got the Cubs and Orioles. Sampson and Watkins in this one. Sampson, fairly mediocre, 2 to 4 earned runs allowed pretty consistently. Watkins was good in July, regressed a bit here in August. We have got a line of Baltimore about minus 155. Is that a fair line? Are these Cubs pesky? What's to make out of this game here today?
4-game set.
I believe. Let me double check here. I think this is a one-off game. This is a makeup game. Then Cubs go back home for Milwaukee.
Usually in these one-off games, where were the Cubs coming from?
They were in DC, I think, right? Not at home. Yeah, they were in DC.
So it's a short bus ride over to Baltimore. But right. This is one of these games where it's a pain in the ass. And usually the road teams don't favor well. It's a big game, a big spot for Baltimore. Hey, guys, who's coming into town for Baltimore on the weekend?
Baltimore is got Boston coming to town this weekend.
So you could say that they're peeking ahead. I don't trust
they got the farther travel than the Cubs do. Cubs got a short bus ride. Baltimore's coming from Toronto.
You know what? These games, the coin flips, I think this will be a public darling for the Orioles. I guarantee you gambling Twitter will have the Orioles, run line, team total and everything. I think it's a stay away. I actually think the Cubs are sneaky, but there's no reason to think. It's more of a fade on Watkins. How's that sound?
No, I'm with you. I'm seeing 86% of the bets coming in on the Orioles money line and 63% of the money over there on the Orioles. That's at least, decent consensus there.
I think the Cubs are alive today.
I think so too. I think so. They are kind of they're one of these teams that when you give them the upper echelon teams, they get smoked, but these middle of the pack, the bad teams, they're pesky against. Those Cubs are pesky against those middle of the pack, the bottom teams. So, moving on to the West Coast here in the afternoon, Arizona and the Giants. The Giants making some momentum right now. Lost yesterday to the Diamondbacks, however. You've got Gallen versus Webb. Both these guys. Webb, last time out, 8 innings, 5 hits, 0 earned runs versus Pittsburgh. Gallen, last 2 times, 0 earned run allowed versus Colorado and Pittsburgh. Any interest in the Diamondbacks today, or would you like to see that number a little bit, closer to minus odds if you're looking at Gallen and the Diamondbacks, or is this one fair right here?
I think they're baiting you to come back in on San Fran. I mean, you get Webb at home. His numbers at home when he starts. SoCal DGen always puts that up. I think the Giants are like 24-3 when he starts at home just to win the game. The number looks to me like they're baiting you to come on board. Gallen has been lights out. An overnight number of 136, a computer model number of 135. We come right out to the minus 140s, 150 at William Hill. You would look for a bounce back from the Giants, but I lean Arizona here and Gallen for the price.
I'm with you on this one too. I like the price with Gallen in this one. I think they got some value there for sure. And he's smoking hot right now, underrated in the smoking hot range, I guess you would say. But come in your neck of the woods, not in Boston again, but still in Pittsburgh. Is this Winkowski? Is that Winchowski or Winkowski? Is that how you would say it? And then Brew Baker for Pittsburgh over there. Boston 3 in a row. Obviously, you had a nice series against the Yankees. Now that 3 in a row, 2 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates 6 straight losses in a row. Anything to see out of this one, or is this a tough matchup to make in this one?
Big game for the Sox, knowing that they're coming into Baltimore. It'd be nice to sweep. Yeah, you already won the series, but you want to keep the momentum. We go back to last Thursday. They beat the Orioles. Then in come the Yankees. They take 2 out of 3. And then they come to Pittsburgh, where you would say it's a match made in heaven. And so far it has. The bats have woken up. They're getting healthier. Kike Hernandez back. They're starting to put some pieces together. They are back to 500 now at 59-59. Team total 4.5 over -125. Pittsburgh 3.5 over -120 and 8.5 under over there. Sox -150 on the Vegas Strip, as high as 155. Pricey, obviously. If you've been back in the Sox the first 2 days with the run line, you obviously come back and take them for the third time. I expect the Sox win, but when they've been in these spots for the sweep, they haven't gotten it done. So I want to see that. I want them to earn today.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. 4 games out of the wild card now are the Boston Red Sox. 4 games behind both Toronto and Tampa Bay, that is. So, yeah, this one is definitely a big one. And then you got the Baltimore Orioles coming in this weekend. There are some big series in baseball this weekend. My goodness. You've got Yankees, Blue Jays, White Sox, Cleveland, and, Boston and Orioles. I'm sure there's a couple more that I haven't realized yet. But going on to the next game, staying in the AL East, Toronto and the New York Yankees, excuse me. Barrios versus Montas. This is start number 3 for Montas with the Yankees. Roughed up by the Cards. Last time out, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs versus Boston. And then Barrios has been very bad the last 2, 5 earned runs and 8 earned runs allowed to Minnesota and Cleveland. However, he has managed to avoid the 3 straight rough outings all year long. If you want to give him any credit, he's been able to bounce back after 2 rough outings. So take that for whatever it's worth. Today we've got the Yankees favored about -155 here in this one. Anything to see, anything to make out of this one here in New York?
Well, I don't like playing the momentum game. I don't think, when you do that, you get burnt. You would think the Yankees are primed here to launch. The walk-off win last night. In comes Barrios. He is off 2 bad starts. You said he hasn't put 3 bad starts together yet this year. The price, the computer model's only -135. The overnight number of 148. The opening line at 150. But in Vegas, 140 at South Point, 145 at Westgate, 140 at our friends at Circa. They're very calmly saying, if you want Yankee money, we're open for business. And so, right. The 8.5 intrigues me. I think that could go flying over. But again, you and I aren't total guys. You can get plus money on Yankees team total over 4.5 right now, plus 110. That's where my eyes are. You could go in and take Toronto 3.5 over -125. I think by the end of this series, there's going to be some runs scored here. I don't know if it's in game 1. I might try to go in and say Barrios puts 3 bad starts together and ride that momentum, but that usually never ends well.
I'm not against you on this one. It wouldn't surprise me if it. I think one of these guys is going to get blown up, and I think it's going to be one of these teams. That's why I'm with you on the 8.5. I'm just worried it's going to be like 7-1 or 6-1 or 8-0 or something like that. So, like the insights for sure. This one should hopefully it's a good one, and we've got a good series all weekend long. Correct me if I'm wrong on this one. Last I checked, Kansas City and Tampa Bay. I had undecided for Kansas City. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, still on Don Best, undecided versus Patino for Tampa. Gut-wrenching loss. Now they come home to the Royals. Right now they're at 62 wins, 3 games ahead of the Red Sox there. And Toronto, they're 1 game ahead of Toronto. No, actually, they're tied with Toronto with 62. Let me see anyone else out there. Seattle's off. So, yeah, tough spot. I mean, they're already -220. We're assuming Kansas City will be a bullpen game. We already know what their bullpen looks like. I mean, once they announce who started for Kansas City, I'm seeing an under-over already of only 7.5. If you wanted to get cute, play a full game run line on the Rays minus the 1.5. Go ahead. But I don't know who's starting right now.
No, and I mean Kansas City's offense 2-0-0 in Minnesota for 3 games there, so their offense is coming in limping into this game. So 2 more left. I'm going to switch them around chronologically so we can end with the game of the day, the matchup of the day. Let's flip it over to the later game before we head to that one. Nationals in San Diego. Anibal Sanchez and Yu Darvish. This is this one of the, if not the biggest line of the year in baseball this year? I went back and looked. There was one other one that was in this territory. But the Padres about -380, -400 in certain spots. Anything to make out of this one? Anibal Sanchez, 6 starts, all 3 runs, earned runs or more. Last time he did see San Diego, so he is seeing them the second time in a week now. Anything to make out of this giant line here in San Diego?
Yes. San Diego, I don't think got the team total. I think they went on Saturday, these two. I'm seeing an under over of 8. Okay. I'm seeing a 7.5 at William Hill. Washington team total 2.5 under -125. San Diego 5.5 under -135. I'm going to go on record right here. It says San Diego gets the touchdown today.
Okay.
So you can get plus money right now. San Diego team total over 5.5 plus 115.
You mean you're not taking the run line at -175? That's not where your heart's lying.
I'll give that to you if you want that.
No, thanks. I will endorse the touchdown with you. Yeah, you know me. I like the especially a mediocre to bad pitcher seeing the same lineup for the second time in a week, and it was only 3 runs last time. I like a nice blow up in that second time around, and maybe a Juan Soto homer in his now his former team's coming into San Diego. Maybe you got that coming around this time around. So we will flip it now to the game of the day, the pitching matchup of the day. Mets and Braves. This one I do believe is on ESPN Plus, I think, if not ESPN. 6:20 my time, 7:20 your time. DeGrom and Max Fried. You've got the Mets on DraftKings now, -120 with Jacob DeGrom on the mound. We saw the Mets put up the 9-7 win yesterday. Over under a 7. Are you thinking what I'm thinking as far as maybe a little too good to be true for Mr. DeGrom, who is usually in the -200 to -300 range there?
Mets team total 3.5 over -120. Atlanta 3.5 under -140. Over under a 7. The classic 4-3. Who's the first one to 4? Tough loss. This is the game of the year for the Braves. They lose, they're 5.5 back.
Yeah.
Okay. And we got I don't know, 6 weeks left of baseball. Mets will leave Atlanta saying, guys, you're not catching us. We know that. At least if Atlanta wins, they're in 3 in the win column behind them. So the price is just like, I mean, there's guys lining up right now, pounding the window with DeGrom. I mean, you're not going to get a better price on DeGrom. So I get that part of it. I do. So are you buying the steak or the sizzle? I mean, and who's the steak and who's the sizzle? DeGrom's obviously the sizzle, but he is the steak in the main course as well. Yeah. I like Fried. I mean, you don't get Fried as a dog at home either. Are you backing the world champs? They're pinned in the corner, or are you taking DeGrom here? I mean, I can go either way here. How's that sound?
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. I also really like Max Fried. I could see this one being a 2-1 game, and it's a classic pitching matchup here. I really could see that. And, yeah, I'm not backing DeGrom at that number. It is too fishy for me. And, yeah, I like Max Fried, man. I really do. So I think he's going to put up a hell of a game here today. And maybe that under 7's got some action on it as well. I could see this one being a real low-scoring game. I mean, you had Stephen A. Smith talking about how good Jacob DeGrom looks on first take. Typically, after that, the hype continues to grow, and typically you see these. If he's supposed to dominate, it should be about -250. So I'm with you. I like, I'm on the Brave side on this one. I'm interested for sure, at least at this point of the day.
Definitely a popcorn. Have some fun with it. Listen, if you want to go back Atlanta on a short dog, go at it. If you think that it wasn't the max performance in that 3-1, let's lights out. So maybe does this one follow that one? Bats a hot, warm night in Atlanta. I think I'll say this sarcastically. I think the Mets and DeGrom is a free roll. I mean, hey, we lose, but if we win, we stake our claim. You're not going to beat us with Max and DeGrom back to back, guys. So it's not your year, it's our year.
Right. No, I'm 100% with you. So that is the full slate of games here today. A handful of day games. So make sure you don't get too crazy early, and then holding the lack of a bag for the rest of the day when you got actual games that you like going on later in the day. So anything else to add as far as today's MLB slate, my friend?
I'm trying to look. In the Bronx tonight. Anthony Rizzo homer. How's that sound?
I am not. I'm not going to dispute that one. I think it's safe to. Betting on these guys that are a blow up candidate as far as Barrios, and then betting against them for a home run props is definitely where I'd like to go. So I'm not hating on you for the Rizzo call there either.
Do you have a home run call?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't have one ready for us today. I like to try and pick out a White Sox guy, but I mean, like I said, they're a ground ball line drive machine, so they are due. But I don't know. Gavin Sheets is lefty versus righty is really the only one there. But Moncada's been hot. He's a switch hitter. I'll say Yohan Moncada. 2 out of 3 days, or actually 3 days in a row, he had a chance to be the hero in the 8th inning. Took it first 2 days, struck out last night, but I'll take 2 out of 3 in the hero category. But I'll give it to him again today. I think he's gonna. I'll give him a hero spot today and give him a home run in an important spot for the White Sox today.
It's been a great week. I think. Don't quote me on it. I think you got tomorrow off, son. I think you got
myself. Yeah. Okay. Hey, either way, I'll be ready to rock. Whatever you need.
I think so. I got to reach back to Scotty. I think he had Friday off, so we'll see about that. But we can't thank you enough. It's been a great week. We've kept you busy. Our eyes have been spot on the MLB board. Next week, we'll dig in more to the college slate as we get closer there. We'll set up some time for we're getting ready for week 1 and your Big Ten preview that we're going to work on. So,
9 days away from week 0. It's flying up. So I'm gonna be ready to rock. We've got in that week 0. I know Illinois's got Wyoming, Nebraska, Northwestern in Ireland, and I think for week 0 that is the only Big Ten game. 2 Big Ten teams or 3 teams in action. I guess 2 games, 3 teams in action. So nothing crazy, but at least a couple big games there.
And in that week 1, the big one, you got Penn State traveling to Purdue.
In the actual week 1, okay, yeah, that is a big one. I didn't look ahead to the actual week 1. I've been licking my chops for week 0 a little too much.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one, the only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed morning. Have some fun with the matinee. Have some fun tonight. The weekend is almost here. Late, actually, in 37 minutes, myself and Rob B2B will be here beating the bookie, talking some golf. We're going to be talking some football. We're going to talk whatever Rob wants to talk about. And I'm going to ask you one quick question. Who do you like this week in golf?
In golf, you know what? I had a couple guys I like. They're already off and running. I like the momentum of Willie Z, but I had Colin Morikawa. I think he's had some decent success at this track before, a couple top 5s. He's got himself due. So that was one that I had some action on, and then I'm drawing a blank. I had one other person in there, but Willie Z and Morikawa were my 2 as far as the big names. Those were my 2 favorites that I liked.
My one and done this week. Joaquin Neiman.
Okay, that's not bad at all. No, that's not bad at all. Matt, of course, my one of my other security blankets. Not to win necessarily. I think Matt Fitzpatrick top 10 was another one I was interested in.
Well, it's going to be interesting. So I'll get back to you. I think you're off tomorrow. We'll be back on the weekends. Everyone here, again, thank you. If you're not following us on YouTube or Twitch, just jump on over to East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. Tell a friend. If you want to smash the like button, we appreciate it. And anyone here on TikTok, East Coast Sports Investors, we're like 35 away from 1,000 followers. You get to go live once you get 1,000 followers. So tell a friend. I don't care. Tell your kids. Get over there. So I want to go live on TikTok.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, have a day. We'll see you guys in 35 minutes with Beating the Book, Mr. B2B himself, Rob. talking some golf, talking whatever floats his boat. Otherwise, have a great day, and we will see you soon.